Minnesota Golden Gophers looking dapper here on Big Ten Media Day as they embark on this 2021 season and hoping maybe to replicate what we saw in 2019 from Minnesota. 11 wins in that season. Last year a little bit up and down, a very young team, but they bring back the second most production in the Big Ten. You look at the numbers for the offensive linemen, they're staggering. That is a really good group. Mohamed Ibrahim emerged as one of the best running backs in the nation last year. Boye Mafe up here with us as well. And then a quarterback in Tanner Morgan, who was one of the best in the country 2 years ago, looking to recapture that form. And those three men join me right now. Boye Mafe, Tanner Morgan, and Mohamed Ibrahim. Guys, really pleased to have all three of you here.
Thank you for having us.
I want to start on a little bit of a somber note from last year, because I think maybe more than any team in the country, you guys were touched by the tumultuous events of last summer. George Floyd was killed just miles from the University of Minnesota campus. I'm just interested in each of your reflections of kind of what that year meant and what you think about it as you reflect on it. Boye, I can start with you.
For me, I felt as if the year meant a lot through the social injustice, but I felt that Coach Fleck did a great job in letting us decide what we wanted to do and letting us do with the HERE initiative, helping end racism with education. So with that, he's helped us learn a lot. We've done a lot. We've had classes. We've talked to each other. We've had the difficult conversation not everybody wants to have. But I felt through the most important thing through all of that is that we've gotten a lot more connected as a team. So seeing us become more connected as a team has been the most beneficial thing throughout the whole thing.
Tanner?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Our HERE initiative is something that's very special to us. It was actually started by players led by Coney Durr, one of our cornerbacks, who came to coach and said, hey, we need education. We need to educate guys. I think that's a big problem. And with those classes, we've been able to learn a lot about all kinds of different things and have tough conversations together about things that, have gone on in the world, things that certain people of our certain teammates have gone through in life. And like Boye said, that brings a lot of people together. And now we have a wall in our facility, the HERE wall, that everyone wrote a sentence of what you learned from 2020. And I think that's incredibly impactful. And that just goes back to show what our program's all about, being a life program and here to serve and give and learn.
What was your sentence about, Mohamed?
I talked a lot about the change starting now. Somebody have to be the first one to do it, and I think that the HERE initiative gave us all a eye-opening, just making sure that we understand that as leaders of the community and people are going to be looking after us and making sure that we do the right thing and taking the lead on what's going on in our city.
Tanner, I know you come here with a very heavy heart, having just lost your father who passed away after a really courageous battle just a week or so ago. I know that pain. I've been there. I lost my father as well. One of the things I love is talking about him. I love telling people about him. So Tell us about your father.
Yeah, my dad was first and foremost a person who loved the Lord. He served Jesus with every ounce that he had in him, and that's something the past 15 months that he wanted to share about the great news of what Jesus Christ is. And that's something I'll always take with me, his faith. And then also just what he meant to be. He was a servant. He loved to give to other people, to help other people out in whatever way he could, whether that was when I was a kid watching games. And I mean, I could count on one finger probably how many practices of mine he missed. The same with my older brother and younger sister. So I know he was incredibly proud of me, and he impacted a lot of people. And if you don't know about glioblastoma, it's an incredibly aggressive form of brain cancer. So if you can, research it, bring awareness to it. Yesterday was glioblastoma Awareness Day, so it's something that obviously has affected my family greatly, and I'd love to see more research be done about that cancer. But my dad did a lot of great job of glorifying God through his trial, and he made incredible impact on a lot of people, and I'm thankful for that and thankful for the time that I got with him.
Yeah, well, our condolences to you, and I know he impacted all of you on the team, someone who was a real presence at Minnesota games. So, again, our heart goes out to you. Really brave of you to be here, and excited to talk about some Gopher football with you guys. So let's do that. Mohamed, I want to start. Take me back to the Nebraska game last year. I mean, you guys are in this game. You're down more than 30 guys in that game, and still figured out a way to win.
Right.
What did that tell you about your team, and how do you kind of carry that forward? And even the performance at the final week against Wisconsin, too. I know it didn't end with a win, but game went to overtime, a really hard-fought game, again, with so many players missing for you guys. What did you learn about your group?
That we can go through things together. We need each other. That's one thing that COVID kind of took away from us. But that relationship that we built those 2 weeks, losing 35 players, building those bonds, and those guys that was missing out, they was leading the groups at home. On Zoom calls, things like that, and just understanding that we need everybody. It's going to take everybody on this team to make things the way that we want it to be. If that's winning games, if that's just even getting better each day, we're going to need everybody on the team, and that's what we did the last 2 weeks.
So, Tanner, how do you carry that forward?
Yeah, I think what we do is we continue to come together, and that's something that we've really been doing our best, is just coming together as a team in the locker room, on the field, in the weight room, on and off the field, and being able to continue to change our best on a daily basis. That's what it's all about. Rowing in the same direction together, learning from the ways that we fail, and being able to change our best in that each and every day, and that's what we're going to continue to do, and we're excited to do coming up in training camp.
Boye, what are the biggest things you learned about your team as you went through that last year?
Through that team, I learned that everyone is their own individual, but at the same time, I felt that we all got connected. I felt that throughout that, we learned a lot about each other, and we learned a lot about growing up with each other and trust. The biggest thing I felt that we've taken from that year is to build trust with each other, building that camaraderie, having the time to spend with each other. Through the COVID year, you didn't get the time to spend in the locker room you normally do. You normally have those conversations in the locker room. You have that, building that relationship. We didn't have that last year. But this year, having the opportunity to do all that, I think, is the biggest thing that changed.
Tanner, I know for you personally, just statistically, you had such a phenomenal year in 2019. Really one of the best quarterback performances in the country that year. You did take a bit of a step back last year. So what have you done to try to recapture that 2019 form? And again, understanding that 2020 was an unusual year. You were going through the fact that your dad was very sick. You had this disconnection. There are a lot of reasons that people might have struggled last season, but how do you get back to that 2019 form?
Right. I think it's obviously you have to embrace your past to create your future, knowing what you came from, 2019, 2020, and taking the things where I failed personally, being able to learn from them and be able to again, change my best. How can I get better? How can I improve in these areas? And that starts with mastery of every minute detail of our offense and spending an incredible amount of time with our offensive coordinator, fundamentals. But, we're not looking back. We're looking forward and taking it one day at a time and doing everything we can to be the best team that we can be. And, again, the execution-wise, that starts with me offensively. And so I'm excited to get back out there in August, back out to practice with our team.
Boye, it's interesting. I looked at the defense from last year and was thinking a bit about it. I mean, look, the beginning of the year, we're not going to sugarcoat it. You guys really struggled on that side of the ball for understandable reasons. There were a lot of injuries, incredible youth, and yet really got better as last year went on. What do you think were the keys to improving kind of on the fly defensively last season?
I think the biggest thing is that, we didn't have that time in camp or in spring ball where you get to develop those relationships on defense. Defense is all about trust. And defense with trust, you build that you believe your teammates will do their responsibilities, do their job, be at their assignment. So we had to do that during the season. And that's the biggest thing that I've noticed throughout the last year going into this year is that we are actually building that trust and building that level between the defenders and between everybody on defense that, all right, you do your job, I'll do my job, and let's just go out there and play our best.
Mohamed, you had such a great season last year, and now you come into this year being mentioned among the very top running backs in all college football, a lot of preseason All-American accolades coming your way. How do you build on that performance from last season?
It's all fun and nice, but I think that the most important thing is the work. Without the work, I wouldn't be here. Without the work, you wouldn't even know who I am. So I always have to lean back on the work, working with my teammates, getting better each and every day, keep changing my best. That's all I can do right now, and put my head down and keep on working and get ready for the season.
Is there a moment of pride at all that comes when you see your name on All-American lists and when you hear some of the buzz that surrounds you? I mean, because you've already put in a lot of work to get to that point. Is there a feeling of, hey, it's really paying off?
For a second, I just think about it for a second, but I can't dwell on it and just sit there and just soak it all in. I just let it go, put my head down, and just keep on working.
Boye, describe trying to tackle Mohamed.
I mean, we have very limited live reps against each other.
I understand. but you've had that experience.
Yeah. Mo used to describe him. I'll just describe him how Coach described him. He's a bowling ball on rollerblades. But definitely one of those guys. He's elusive. He plays the game really smart. He makes strategic moves. He's not one of those backs that's just going to run straight downhill. He can make you miss, and he can also run through you. So Mo's one of those versatile players to me.
Guys, you had such a great year last year, and there was a lot of hype around your team coming into last season. You had a great year 2 years ago, I should say. I know, again, for a variety of reasons, it did go exactly like you wanted to, and now it feels a little bit like maybe you're being overlooked. Is there any sense at all as you come in here of feeling like people aren't taking us as seriously as they need to?
We really focus on what we have to say about ourselves within our four walls, and we always know that our expectations are going to be way higher than anybody's expectations for ourselves, and that's what we focus on. Outside expectations could be really high, they could be really low, and for us it really doesn't matter. We're focused on the vision that we have for ourselves, for our team, and we know that our expectations are incredibly high for ourselves, and we know that you can't reach those without the process and taking it one day at a time and putting in the work, and we know that's how you get there.
We're looking forward to seeing what the 2021 season holds for Minnesota Golden Gopher football. Really a pleasure to visit with each of you. Boye, Tanner, Mohamed, thanks so much, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
PJ Fleck, as always, bringing the energy as the Minnesota Golden Gophers embark on year 5 of the Fleck era. Hoping that journey ends here in Indianapolis with a visit to the Big Ten championship game. It starts with a game against the Big Ten champs. September the 2nd, they open up at home against Ohio State on Fox. You see the entire schedule for the Gophers culminating in, of course, the battle for the axe against against Wisconsin, I should say, on November the 27th. And very pleased to be joined now by PJ Fleck. And PJ, really a remarkable year last year. It was for everyone, but I think for you guys in particular, starting with George Floyd being killed just miles from your campus. I talked to your players about the incredible impact that had on them. Then you take it on the field, of course, massive COVID issues throughout college football. You guys certainly had some. You had a very young team, and yet it felt like as last year went on, you got better and better as a team. What did that tell you about your team? What are the lessons you learned from going through all of that with them?
Well, that these are very, very special young people that can handle a lot and can be leaders in our community or university in this team. We knew that we had it maybe a little bit different than most people in 2020, somehow, some way. 2020 taught us all a lot of things. But when you look at our football team, the togetherness of it, the empathy of our football team got us through it. And when you look at not only just through it, they created what we call the HERE Initiative, which is helping end racism with education. Multiple different speakers have continued to come in and educate our entire football team on the history of racism, what it looks like, how to identify it, how to be able to get through it if you come in contact with it. We've had a lot of these programs within our program already in place, but our players did a lot of things to make and be the change that we all want. So, again, we're all looking forward to 2021. We all learned a lot in 2020. But the biggest thing is this team's together. We have a lot of returners. They learned a lot, embraced their past in 20 to create their future in 21, which I'm so excited about.
You go back to the spring, how much more comfortable was Tanner Morgan and Mike Sanford's offense the second time around?
Well, yeah, I mean, really, it's almost the first time, which is in a good way. They finally got a chance to be around each other in the off season, not just thrown into the actual season, right? But they have really, they've really gelled together really well. And I'm really glad they've had the entire off season together. Tanner was able to see it. I mean, we all had to be able to look in the mirror in every area of our life last year. And when you looked at the mirror in football, we all could have been better. I was focusing on probably a lot of other things than just football that I felt were way more important than just winning games at the time. We all had those types of things going on. And when you look at Tanner, he had the same thing. He could be better, and he knows he could have been better. We could have been better coaches. Defense could have been better. Every position could have been better. And that's what we look forward to in 21 is just being a more complete football team.
Coach, you've talked in the past about having a young football team, a football team that needed to learn some experience. And last year you had a bunch of guys playing, and all of those guys are back. So how do you leverage that type of experience into the season this year?
Well, we came after 2019, winning 11 games for the first time since 1904, right? Then we go into the season. We know we're going to be a young defense, but then we lose all the time to be able to develop that young talent. Then the first time those guys are really playing together, they're playing in a season, which they really had no business doing that just yet. But now we have 10 starters back on offense, 10 on defense, all of our specialists back besides our 2 kickers, which now we have 2 new kickers that we brought in the transfer portal, along with Brock Walker as well. So I'm looking forward to this team in 4 areas. One, they have to be together. They have to find a way to continue to be together, do things together all the time. Be grateful for everything that we have and what's coming, and show that in how we play. Have an identity that's different than any football team that's ever played here. This is their team. This isn't about comparing them to 2019, 1956, anything like that. We're our own team, and then focus on each other and continue to make each other better and compete with each other. If we can do that, we got a chance.
Last time we were on campus, you and I talked about your generation of coaches making a lot of changes within college football. Are you comfortable, and do you like the new rules preseason camp-wise?
Coach, we've been doing this for a long time at Minnesota. We were doing this at Western Michigan. We don't have practices they rarely go over 90 minutes. Our practices move so fast. We have limited hitting. We've done that for the last 9 years. So for us, there's not a lot of drastic changes to the preseason. Every third day, players were off and we went to walkthroughs instead of practice. We've been doing that for a long time. And now it's good to see that everything's catching up to that, because we felt like it was the best thing for college football years ago. Right. And one thing about being a head coach, you get so many practices, which but you get to run your team how you want to run your team. And part of being a really good leader is being able to listen to what your team needs, not only just through your ears, but what do you see? Right. What do they need more of? What do they need less of? And not being afraid to adapt to that, or just because we've done it and this is how we've always done it.
You mentioned in 2020 about your defense being young, some new starters out there. Obviously, a bunch of faces played because of COVID issues and everything, and there were some struggles on that side of the ball. This year definitely looks to be better, but in what areas do they have to improve?
Well, we talk about 3 areas that win football games. One, the ball, right? We have to get way more takeaways on defense. We got to get way more pressure on the quarterback, create more takeaways. We have to tackle way better than we did before. And a lot of times it has to do with a lot of strength issues. But a lot of young kids, inexperienced kids playing, but they failed, and now they can grow and go be successful. So we have to do those 2 things. And then we got to be able to limit explosive plays. When we lost games last year, we lost because of explosive plays. So if we can limit those 3 things, we have a saying 78%. You're going to win 9, you're going to be 9-3. You're going to win 78% of your games. And if you can just do those 3 things and win those 3 things. So everything we do in practice focuses on those 3 things to be better in. With the guys returning, we should be better in all 3 of those categories and need to be to have a successful 21.
Well, you're going to have to be really good right off the bat because you play Ohio State in the opener. How does that change the approach, just maybe mentally for your guys, knowing you have a huge game looming right at the outset?
This is like the Kentucky Derby, man. The Kentucky Derby, they don't open the gates and they kind of ease out. They go. We have a saying, start fast, accelerate in the middle, and finish strong. If you want to be a championship football team, it doesn't matter who you play. You better start fast, accelerate in the middle, and finish strong. So the order doesn't matter, but I do know this. This is going to be our 3rd straight sellout at Huntington Bank Stadium. Brand new name of our stadium, which is exciting. First time our fans are allowed back, and now we get a chance to play against the defending Big Ten champions, which is going to be a tremendous challenge for us.
Speaking of the Derby, I did your spring game, and there was a staff party after the game on Derby Day, wasn't it?
Oh, they're always, yeah, absolutely. It's a fun time.
How'd the party go?
Listen, that's the best time of year right there, right? During the Derby, after the Derby, there's some special moments for sure.
You talked a lot about leadership within your team, and you've spoken about Tanner Morgan at length and type of leader that he is. You've got Mohamed Ibrahim on your team coming back as a defending Big Ten running back of the year. How would you characterize the leaders that you have on your team?
Well, they're the heartbeat of our team. Tanner and Mo, especially Mo and Tanner, based on what they do. Tanner makes the entire football team better. What I like about Mo is when your best players are your hardest workers, you have something special. Glenn Mason said it best, right? You have to have a pair and a spare. Well, we have a pair and a spare. Plus, we have air to go in that pair if it's low and to go in that spare if it gets low. We have 4 backs, if not 5 backs, I feel really good about that can help Mo get through that whole season healthy, that are very capable backs and very good tailbacks. And he makes every single one of them, guys, way better during practice, on the field, and off the field.
Tell us about some of the transfers that you brought in to help you.
Yeah, Niles Pinckney was a captain over there at Clemson and comes up and sews up some things in the interior part of our defensive line, where last year, we were playing against Nebraska, and there's 2 freshmen on the interior part of your D-line, which, again, they're going to be really good players, but that's not what you want to look like in Big Ten football all the time, especially in the trenches. Those 2 guys are going to be great. But Niles being able to bring that leadership, he's a father. His son Harrison's 3 years old. He's a very mature young man, captain at Clemson, to be able to sew up a little bit of that interior along with D'Angelo Carter and some other guys, Micah Treadway, to really sew up on the inside. A lot of competition going on there. And then we brought a linebacker by the name of Jack Gibbons, who was an FCS All-American. This kid's really special, guys. He's long, he's fast. Think Mariano Sori-Marin, but bigger, longer. And again, they have to race to be able to see who's faster, but Jack might be a little bit faster. He's going to hate me for saying that, but we knew we had to get some help on the defensive side of the ball. You know me, I'm a high school developmental program coach, but if there's some needs, we're going to go out there and hit them in the transfer portal.
Coach, do you ever ask the players that transfer in some things that they've done at other places and try to pick their brain a little bit, maybe something that you'd like to do or consider?
Yeah, you know what? I do it a little bit more. I don't ever do it like an interview, like, all right, here's my 20 questions, because they feel like they're getting grilled, and they probably won't give you the accurate information. But what I do is I do everything I can to say, hey, how does this compare to where you were at with this particular team meeting? How does that practice compare to what you were doing? Yeah. What did you like that we did, and what did you like that Clemson did, right? Or things like that. So that's how I ask them and I approach it, and they're very open to share those things. Sure. And we're very fortunate to have the program we do and the life program and life culture that we have at the University of Minnesota, and grateful for the guys who wanted to be a part of it.
We had Tanner up here earlier, and of course he just lost his father last week. He spoke so eloquently about it. You were talking to me earlier about the impact his dad had on this entire program. Share that with everyone, because it really stood out.
You're a head coach of 130 players, and they all lose people in their lives, and it's very tragic in their lives. But rarely do you have somebody pass away in a family and then have the entire team be devastated because of it. Ted Morgan affected the entire football team. He was a father figure to that entire football team. I mean, we beat Penn State at home, and the next thing you know, Ted Morgan's on national TV taking an interview from Holly Rowe. Like, that was Ted, and he constantly promoted the team. He's responsible for a lot of the recruits we have now because he loved recruiting. I got a chance to know him for 7 years. It's a long time when your player's still playing for you. He did a lot for our program. He'll be forever missed, and he instilled a lot of those incredible values into his son Tanner, which all of you get a chance to see.
Yeah, really well said, and an incredibly impressive young man, no question about it. PJ, really appreciate your time. Thanks so much, and we look forward to being up there on the tour and seeing what the Gophers have in store for 2021.
Appreciate it, guys. Row the boat, Sky Mile. Go Gophers. Thanks.